Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing well this year, and this Christmas is going to be good for everyone. Um, I know it's been a rough year, and I've gone through quite a few losses this year that have made it to where this is going to be a very different Christmas. Back in May, I my grandmother went into um, to hospice care, and she wasn't doing really well. Um, but she had breast cancer a long time ago, and I don't even want to keep going with this part. But anyway, my grandmother went in the hospice, and then on the 6th of June, she passed away. Um, it was very hard for all of us. My dad and my sister and my sister's family came down. Um, they all stayed here at the house. We were going through the process of mourning her, um, and then I hate family drama, um, except especially when people are being, you know, greedy, and you find out that people are manipulating things behind the scenes, and um, you get very angry. Um, Me and my sister took losing my dad too. All of us did. We took losing my grandmother really hard. My grandmother was always there for me and my sister growing up. You know, growing up in a single parent home with my dad, was great. My dad was always there with us. He played with us. We were involved in everything he did. Um, his whole life was wrapped up around us, and he, was doing this by himself. My mom didn't pay child support. Um, that's why I'm always been the person that roots for a dad when they're the single parent raising kids, because I know what it's like, because my dad did it for me and my sister. He was always there, um, always was a shoulder to talk to and to cry on, and would get down on the floor and play, with GI Joes with me, or Transformers and Barbies and other things with my sister. We used to role play, and my grandmother, and my grandfather both helped us out a lot. Where my dad couldn't be there. My grandmother would watch us, or if my dad was a little short, with stuff, she would help out. Both of them, my grandparents would, and they've always considered my dad um, their son, and I always thought that I'd have my grandmother here a lot longer, um, but actually my grandfather too. Um, but it's been a hard year. I mean, because between that and then dealing with family drama, um, which is never fun, especially when someone passes. It gets pretty nasty, and um, you know, uh, members of the family just split ways. But and then my dad lost his oldest brother to COVID, and that was really hard, because he was battling it for a while, and then he got over it, but his kidneys failed. Um, but he never got out of the hospital. My dad took it really, really hard, considering he just lost his kind of adopted mom and dad within a span of 2 years, and then his oldest brother, and then so that only leaves my dad and my uncle Mike now, uh, and him just not taking, having to deal with everything that happened with him, with the being assaulted by some young person who wish was in jail, but him trying to recover from all that and just dealing with the emotional loss has been difficult. So, come around August, towards the end of the month, my dad gets sick, and I've talked about this. So you can go back and there's a video that's going to be titled that my dad's in the hospital, and the fact that I was almost going to lose my dad too. This has been a really hard year, and then it doesn't help that one of the things, which is kind of, I haven't had time to really kind of do another one of these videos where I just kind of speak my mind of what's going on. Right before Halloween, my wife's best friend passed away. She had some medical complications, and when she went to the hospital, her body just kind of gave out, and stuff we just didn't know about until um, right before she passed, or right after she passed, because she kept it to the chest, and she wasn't really telling anybody what was really going on. We just didn't know how sick she was. So it's been a really hard year of loss. And then like the year before, I mean, there was a lot of people that we knew that passed, and then my cat I've had for like 10 years passed away. So it's just like nothing but loss. So just trying to keep my mental stability together, and work and help support my wife and my son, and everything they got going on. It's been really hard, and with working a lot, doing a lot of work, and then trying to go through the grieving process. Normally I would game, but I haven't been able to game a whole lot, to get my mind off stuff. And then I've been trying to be more creative, because I used to draw all the time, and I don't do that too much anymore either. I'm trying. I really am. Because I want to get my son another creative outlet than sitting here watching videos on YouTube, of course, which is what I'm making right now. But, and playing games. I want him to try to, broaden his horizons of things he could do. So, and with all that, we just been trying to make ends meet ourselves. I mean, I've been luckily been able to get a little overtime. Work's been good, so it's not like we're hurting for money or anything. But it's just been one of those things where we've had a lot of stuff on the back end of the year, and just trying to keep ourselves positive through all this. We got our tree up last week, or going to be putting our ornaments up on Monday, which is whenever this video goes up. And then we'll start wrapping all the presents and everything. I want my son to have a good Christmas. But this is going to be the first year without my grandmother, and it's funny hearing the stories about how she was with other people in the family, but how she was with me and my sister. I still remember, she would always get us what we want for Christmas. I mean, not like anything we wanted, but if there was an item we really wanted that was within reason, they would get it. And it's funny because I just remember like the times whenever she would we'd be over there, and then she'd go, okay, I'm gonna go and pick something out for you. Let's go to Toys R Us, and she'd drive us over, me and my sister, over to Toys R Us, and we each get a toy. It was funny because there's one particular incident where that happened, where we drove to Toys R Us right off of Alameda, the one that used to be over there, and in Houston, and I was gonna get like the GI Joe. What was it, the I have it now. And I had it years later, but or earlier. But at the time when I tried to get this, was the man, my cred is going to go out the window. Give me a second, let me remember. Then I'll just edit it in. It's fantastic. Well, my grandmother gave me blank, and I'll add it in. Um, but they didn't have it, so I ended up, and this was right around the time, Transformers the movie came out. So 86, I was 5 years old, and I got me a cup toy. I had it all of one day. My grandmother dropped me and my sister off at home. We were with my mom while my dad was at work. My mom went to go and laundry in at the laundromat in the apartment, and I ended up forgetting my figure there. I was playing with it the whole time. I left it. Of course, if my dad was there, he would have reminded me, "Hey, where's your toy?" And we would have got it. Well, when my dad got home and found out about it, he didn't have my toy. He ran over there and found out that it was gone. So some kid in the apartment complex got a new cup toy. Of course, I got a replacement now, but it's not the same one that my grandmother gave me. I try to keep some of the things that mean a lot to me. It's funny because there's one year that I got something, and I'm gonna talk about this in a podcast. We're supposed to be recording Tuesday, so I can get this up like Christmas Eve for episode 24. But there's a toy that I got that was not supposed to be for me. It was supposed to be for my dad, and I'll talk about it on there. But I just remember like getting one year when Beast Wars was out. I got Megatron and Optimus Prime. Megatron and Optimus Primal, and then she would always get me something I would want, and she would be funny because I'd be asking about toys or a video game, and she'd be like, "Hey, are you still into this? Yeah, I want this stuff. I don't get it from anybody else. All I get is like clothes and things. I still want, toys." And because it's like I grew up in the fact that my philosophy was, if I don't care what people think about me. I enjoy, collecting. I enjoy playing with toys. I enjoy drawing and watching cartoons and anime and movies. And I work hard. Who cares? But back then it was like, I don't care. I am who I am. I'm not going to change myself for anybody else. If you like me, you're going to like me for who I am, not for the made up person that, that I can make myself for you. Screw that. But it's, we would, usually our Christmas routine was we'd open up presents with my dad, and then we would go over to my grandparents for, Christmas Day to have dinner and stuff, and then we'd open up presents, and then we'd probably go out to my Uncle Gene's and Uncle Mike's to hang out and open up presents there too, and then we'd spend the night over there, or at least up to a point, and then we'd come home. And it was always, I just have all these great memories, and that's what I want to have for Edward. But it's just like, this will be the year that I don't get to go. Well, last year I didn't get to go to my grandparents at all because of COVID, and now she's not here anymore, and she's in my heart and my mind, and but just the thought process of possibly losing my dad too, and then I know my wife's going through a whole lot. It's been really hard for her to focus on school and the things she needs to do around the house. So while I'm what we do together to help out with the house and stuff, and then I understand it's hard losing that person in your life that's very important. But yeah, so to the story I was going to tell, I had so 2016, like I think the Thanksgiving up to the 20th, my wife was out of a job. She was in between jobs at the time, and so I was getting a little overtime, but like towards the end of the month of December, I wasn't getting any. So I was like trying to find any way I could to um, make ends meet. So I decided that I was going to sell my carded GI Joe 25th modern figures and then the Pursuit of Cobra figures to and some of the con exclusive stuff to make money for Christmas. And then the other thing I was selling too was my Star Wars Black Series. Like I think I was only missing like 6 figures for the original first run of that at the time, 2016. And we needed the money, and I wanted to be able to make sure that I could do something nice for Edward and get some stuff for my family, and then be able to pay some bills that needed to be paid. So my buddy Josh was helping me out. We created a listing of my figures on some of the figure sites and stuff, and then he would contact me when there was a sale. I would box them up and ship them out, and then I'd get the person who was buying them the shipping and stuff, and then so I was making some extra cash to do what we needed to do. Well, so the 20th, which is tomorrow for me right now, recording this, but today for you, I got up. I had already packaged a box up for a guy, and I grabbed my bag for work. And of course, I didn't have a backpack. I wish I did, but I had a satchel that was provided by work for my laptop. And I go outside, lock my apartment door, and I look. And in the distance, there's a guy about maybe 200 feet away in the apartment complex. And I'm like, it's 6 something in the morning, and I'm like, okay, And so, little backstory too. I had a Mitsubishi Galant blue or midnight blue with, you know, uh, inside it I had a couple gifts from my grandparents for my son and some other stuff. His car seat at the time, and so I went with the package and my thing to my car, and I'm thinking to myself, my instincts telling me, hey, there's something up, and I should have just like went, you know what, I'm gonna go back inside my apartment, lock the door, and wait for this guy to go. I was just like, come on, let me get in the car, let me get in my car. My the mechanism of my key did not open the locks on my car, so I was like, got the door open, unlocked the back, put the package in the back seat in my son's car seat, shut the door, opened the door to get it in my car when I heard commotion behind me, and this dude was like, give me your keys. And my first reaction was, you got to be effing kidding me. Of course, what I said. Because I couldn't believe it. As of all the things that you could list in your life that'll happen to you, I didn't ever think that would get carjacked. I don't know. It was one of the things that wasn't on my bingo card at the time. We've had a fire. We've had stuff stolen, which is another story I'll talk about. But being carjacked at gunpoint was not where on my list, or to even have a gun pointed at me was never on my list of things that happened in my life that I felt. And we were in a gated apartment. It wasn't like the best area, but it was better than, some of the places we were. It was closest to my son's school and my wife's work at the time. So, really nice apartment. It was great having, people come over. It was big enough to, have little parties and stuff that we would do, and gaming nights and fighting tournaments. And, but so like there's this gun in my chest. I mean, the barrel of the gun's in my chest. And I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. You got to be effing kidding me. Whatever. I don't care. And this dude's like looking at me like waiting for me to just like give him his keys. Give him the keys. And, most of the time people will sit there and say, they would freak out. You don't ever know what you're going to be like in a situation like that, life or death. And my philosophy was that if I'm ever in a life or death situation, I'm going to try to fight. And of course, you don't ever know until that happens. That's what it was. I grabbed the gun and pulled it away from me. And the only reason why I didn't do anything else is because my hand was tangled up in my bag. I had some training, but it was like, I felt that if I'm going to die, I'm going to die fighting. And I pulled it out of my hand and put it back on my chest. And I did it again. And at that point, I was like, he's not going to shoot me. And that's when my head was like, hey, idiot, inside is your wife and son. You need to give him the keys so that way you can see them again. Because at that point, I knew that he wasn't going to shoot me. Because he would have done that. He would have done it the moment I moved my hand to move the gun. And so I dropped the keys. I started backing away. And he's like, turn around. And I turned around, and I hear him grab the keys and, get the car started and take off. And I was so pumped through adrenaline, I was just shaking. And I just still couldn't believe it happened. All I know is that I remember getting to the steps next to my apartment, sitting down, and like calling the police and 911 and reported everything. And then that's when I started banging on the door because I had no way back into my apartment. And my wife kind of stumbles to the door and she's like, baby, what's wrong? And I said, I just got carjacked. She's like, oh my God. So she sits with me because Edward was still asleep. She didn't have to get up until like 7 or 8. And I'm just shaking. And we just talk about it. And then eventually 2 officers show up and I talk to them about what happened and what gave a description of the guy. And then they came in that wanted to get more information and stuff. So it was funny because both the officers walk in, and so I have a replica Buster sword that my dad got me for for Christmas one year. I have Sephiroth's sword that is a companion piece to that one that was my ex-brother-in-law's, and he didn't want any more, so he gave it to me. So it fit right on the display, the sword mount, the wooden. I can't think of what it is right now. And I had a couple katanas, and I have a replica Red Queen from Devil May Cry. I got for Renfest, like I think 4 or 5 years before that. And so I just can't remember. It's funny because I'll never forget this because the officer goes, he's looking around and he sees the swords and he goes, I get it now. You're a ninja. That's why you did it. I'm like, no. As much as I'd love to be, I know when I was a kid, I'd love to be a ninja, but no. But it was funny because he was like, look, it's brave what you did, but it was very stupid. And I said, I know it is, but it wasn't like, it was instinct. You don't ever know what you're going to be like in a situation like that. And it messed with me. It's messed with me for a while of that incident. I know that it's one of those things where for a while there, it was like what I should have done, what I could have done. And, part of the other reason too that I didn't do anything was I was in a tight space between two, my car and a SUV, maybe like a good, almost 2 feet distance between the two, or a little bit more. There wasn't much whole lot of room I could do a whole lot. But I just thought about all the things that I could have done and stuff. And then I got into the whole thing of like, yeah, I could have died. I could have not been here for my son. I could have not been here for my wife. And the thought that my life could have ended right there, it was hard. Um, my friends and family have been there to try to help me cope through this. And it does eat at you, because you do have that moment. I barely little, but I have those moments of like, why me? But I not more than than a handful of times. Most of the times it's like, I could have done something. I should have done something. I'm glad he didn't kill me, but I could have done something, and I know I could have. But especially knowing the fact that he wouldn't have shot me anyway. Look, I may sound stupid, but it's just how my mind works. But at that point, I think that was the last item I sold that way. I had to refund the money to the guy that bought the items that I was shipping out to him that day. And then I held on to it until I met my buddy Rob, and he had some stuff I wanted at the time, and I ended up trading him for it. But it left us with only one car, so it was really hard because at the time, right after that, Anna got the new job she was at, and so it was like we were having to kind of switch off between cars. Luckily, and I'm very thankful for this, my mother-in-law loaned us $500 to get a down payment on a car, and it's the same car I have now. It's been a very dependable car, but it was a very scary time, having to do things to be an adult and then have something like just come out of your way and just like cripple you. It takes away your car, so you don't have a way to work. And then the same thing with, it could have took my life away. Sometimes life can be funny that way. But I take every moment I get, as one would say a blessing, or, I'm very thankful for it. So I've had some dark times because of it. And Anna of Edward and my friends and family have pulled me out of things. Not that I've ever done anything, but I've had thoughts, and it's not one of those things that I like to admit, because I'm very headstrong and I'm very positive a person, and to have those moments of weakness, I feel ashamed for, and I shouldn't, because I've had a traumatic experience that was very hard to deal with, but I needed to get this off my chest, and I guess it was the best way I could do it, was just to put it in a video, put it online. So no, I guess my message would be that no matter how hard things are in your life and how bleak they may look, there's always things that you can look at that are going to be better, or that you may not see it right now, but things will get better. Even if you have to make them get better, don't expect things to just come your way. Do whatever you can to, fight for it. Because every moment that you get to live and get to experience and do things, you don't get a second chance for. And, almost losing my dad was even more of a reminder of why I should live. Shouldn't, do something stupid. And not that I'm ever going to do that. But anyway, let me get off that topic. I did want to say that I have been streaming Chrono Trigger, so if you want to check it out. I actually finally got my mic working right with the third one, but there wasn't a whole lot of people that jumped in, so I didn't really say much. I'll try to be more talkative and get me more engaging stuff. So if people want to jump in, they can and watch me. It's my favorite game of all time. And I still want to try to do a video on that, talk about my memories of that game. But it's been good to go back to a game that brings me back to my childhood and has such a meaning to me, and nostalgia and everything. Um, but that, and then one of the cool things. So this past Wednesday, me and my buddy Edward, we went and saw Macross Plus the movie in theaters. Um, I've had that movie on VHS for the longest time. I've actually been waiting for it to come on DVD or Blu-ray at some point. And with the news of Harmony Gold and Big West finally making up, I was so ecstatic. I was like, man, finally I'm going to get more Macross stuff. Finally Macross is going to come to the West again fully. So maybe we'll get Frontier and Seven and Zero and Delta and hopefully many more. I can't wait for the merchandise. I mean, it's so hard, like when you want to have a YF-19 from Macross Plus, and you can't because the import costs are so high and it's an expensive figure. Well, hopefully, we'll be able to get figures here that are going to be, reasonable, marketed in the U.S. for U.S. fans. Because Macross is one of my favorite series. Well, Robotech and Macross, but Macross toppled it because I like that story versus Robotech, even though I watch Robotech. At least just the Macross saga and the Genesis saga. I'm really not a fan of Southern Cross at all. But which ties into another thing about the episode 24. But so it was really good to get to watch that in the theaters finally. I hope it's the sign of things more to come. But it just took me back to my high school days. I really wished it had been dubbed. I don't mind it being subtitled, but come on, Bryan Cranston, the voice of Osamu Dyson, you can't pass that up. But yeah, it was just a really cool experience. Even though it was like 4:3 ratio, it wasn't expanded out to 16:9. But hey, I couldn't pass it up. And it was funny thing is like it was a one-time thing. 7:00, I went to the Edwards Theater off of I-10, and they had. I was like, okay, well, I can do this, or I can go see Spider-Man. It's like, I'm going to go do this because it's like a one-in-a-lifetime thing I'm probably going to get to do, is see that movie in theaters, versus like Spider-Man, where I can go see it anytime now, which I plan on going to see it Wednesday. I want to take Anna, possibly Edward, to go. It just depends. And then, yeah, so I'll probably get to see Spider-Man Wednesday. And then I'm just trying not to deal with all the spoilers, which I already know. But and then got The Matrix on Thursday or Friday, so I'm looking forward to that as well. But yeah, I just wanted to also, so Thanksgiving was really good. We went to my dad's, and my dad actually had a chance to, since I was finally able to see him, he gave me a few of my birthday presents. So I wanted to show those off real quick. One of them was to have Cyclonus. Sorry about the glare there. I haven't opened them yet. I may do a review, my thoughts on the figure, but very happy to have him in the collection. Especially looking just like he came out of the movie. And then the one thing, if you know me, my favorite horror movie of all time is The Thing. My dad got me this. So this is a book that has different artwork for the thing, and it is amazing. Just the different artists, the information it gives you when they're coming up with designs for some of the creatures, and then it's just some of the posters. I'll show them up on the screen here in a moment, but like it's just amazing. Um, it's it's funny because I got both the NECA versions of McCready, and I saw the images of what the dog, which is fantastic that they're doing the dog thing, and it's cool to get to see a creature, a toy done for that creature, because when we got the McFarlane Movie Maniacs version, we had the Norris with with the creature busting out of his chest, and then his head crab, and then we got the Blair creature. So we could have got Bennings, where he's being already changed over, and then like I don't know, I just yeah, even like Palmer when he's that creature, or Windows when he's changing. That'd be amazing to have as a toy. And I'd love to see NECA do the whole crew, Childs and Windows and Copper, damn it. But yeah, I love the whole crew. I would, man. It'd be great to have them like all setting up on a shelf. And I'd love to see them do, because I got the Nada and the not Child's Frank figure that they did for They Live, which of those are really cool. I need to get the news anchors at some point, but but I'd love to see a Big Trouble in Little China figures. I mean, come on, Jack Burton, Wang, Egg Chen, David Lopan. I mean, I got the pops. That's great and everything, but come on, give me them in like high detailed Kurt Russell scanned face from the movie, with his his shirt and the Uzi. But yeah, no. Actually, I'd love to see more John Carpenter stuff as toys. I'd love to see their take on Snake Plissken. Maybe give us the President and the Duke of New York. But the other thing I got, and I haven't opened this yet, I think I'm just going to do a little review on it as well, or something. I don't know. I do want to play this really, really bad, but I finally got the Thing board game that had been out of print for a while and was going on almost like $300 to $400 for this. And luckily, Big Bad Toy Store back in October said, "Hey, we're going to get us another print of this." So, for $59, $60 is not bad for a board game versus the other alternative. And I can't wait to have a game night for all of us come over to play this at some point soon, at least in the first of the year sometime. But yeah, but that's about it. I just wanted to kind of tell you what's going on and share that awful memory, just to kind of get it off my chest. So some of y'all that are my friends and family know just the things that have been going on and what I've been dealing with. But thanks for taking the time and listening and watching, and let me know if you've had a hard time in your life around Christmas or anything like that. And I'm listening. But just know that it can always get better, even if you have to make it. But until then, have a good one, guys. Later.